So President Lee Jae-myung and U.S. President Donald Trump held their first summit at the White House this week. Their talks made headlines with statements on North Korea diplomacy, economic cooperation, and more. Now, going forward, important issues remain for Seoul's diplomacy. For more, we turn to our foreign affairs correspondent, Oh Soo-young. Welcome back, Soo-young.
Hi, Dami.
So, Soo-young, let's start by briefly going over the achievements of the two leaders' summit. Perhaps the biggest success was the trust created between the two leaders.
Right, and we both watched that as we covered it, live at this very studio very early in the morning in Seoul yesterday. And the mood was remarkably friendly as we saw the two leaders strike up a warm personal relationship as President Lee reminded President Trump of his diplomatic achievements with North Korea and asked him to revive his role in achieving peace on the Korean Peninsula. Now, President Trump responded very positively, saying that he hoped to meet Kim Jong-un before the end of the year and even expressed his willingness to do so by attending the APEC leaders meeting in South Korea this October. The two leaders also agreed to deeper cooperation in shipbuilding and economic cooperation. Quite remarkably, though, sensitive issues were not raised, or at least not made public after the summit, primarily sticking points in trade and what kind of ways the two allies will modernize their security cooperation.
That's right. We saw a great progress, but I do have to say, not much clarification on the trade front, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So on the trade front, we didn't see any clarification, really, not much clarification, and we didn't see any new deals. And in fact, US demands for more market access in Korean agriculture and fisheries, they weren't addressed at all. And President Lee's spokesperson said that it was because the atmosphere was just so good that while there was a clear plan to begin with trade discussions, the two leaders actually proceeded to hold very close and personal talks. So in a way, that may be good news for Seoul, but at the same time, it means there are no adjustments to the agreement reached in late July when Seoul accepted a flat 15% US tariff on Korean imports in exchange for a $350 billion investment package in the United States. Now, within that package, about $150 billion is earmarked for shipbuilding under what's been dubbed as the Make America Shipbuilding Great Again initiative. However, there's uncertainty over what's going to be done with the remaining $200 billion. Now, President Trump has said that the US has full control of where that money will go, but Seoul has obviously indicated otherwise. And what was agreed during the summit is that the two governments will pursue a non-binding memorandum of understanding in the coming weeks, so specifying how the $350 billion will be managed, and it will likely touch upon issues like governance and profit sharing and whether investments are loans or equities, those kind of technical details.
Based on President Trump's remarks, it seems Korea raised objections about the trade agreement, but he said the existing deal should be kept as it is. Based on America's deals with other countries, the UK, the EU, Japan, it seems the process of specifying the details will take at least 6 months and possibly more than 2 years.
Soo-young, let us now turn to North Korea. Lee and Trump are trying to make a meeting with Kim Jong-un happen. Now, any signs that this is gaining traction?
Well, after the summit in Seoul, Unification Minister Chang Dong-yeong, he said that this raises hope for an early resumption of dialogue. But he did emphasize that certain conditions must be created first. He noted that since President Trump is unlikely to visit Korea again next year, the APEC occasion should be seized as an opportunity for a potential meeting with Kim Jong-un. Now, given how the minister has previously pushed for the revival of the inter-Korean military hotline and also to make some dovish gestures, he's likely to keep pressing ahead for such actions to happen. And what will be the result, we simply don't know. We've, of course, addressed this before, Tammy, but North Korea doesn't seem interested in dialogue with Seoul for now. But it does, though, appear at least open to talks with the US. So Pyongyang's official media today, it criticized President Lee's recent commitment to the concept of denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, calling him a, quote, confrontational maniac who is, quote, seized by denuclearization paranoia.
Well, speaking of testy relations, Soo-young, I do have to ask, how is Seoul balancing its ties with China?
Well, it's been quite a tricky week, actually, Tony, because this year marks the 33rd anniversary of South Korea and Beijing's bilateral ties. And that landmark actually fell upon the weekend, which was Sunday.
Right.
So President Yi, he actually sent some envoys there for the occasion. And Beijing has been following the summit very closely, particularly the implications of a possible alliance modernization and South Korea and America's cooperation in shipbuilding. Because China sees American presence on the Korean Peninsula as a direct security concern. And perhaps reflecting this unease, Chinese media outlet Global Times argued this week that South Korea will not gain respect unless it develops strategic autonomy from the US. And well, perhaps to put Beijing at ease and also, again, mark their bilateral anniversary, President Yi's special delegation to Beijing, they were there over the weekend, as mentioned, and it was led by former National Assembly Speaker Park Byung-seok and the son of former President Roh Tae-woo, his name is Roh Jae-yeon. Those two were part of the delegation, and they delivered a letter from President Yi, which called for bilateral ties to develop into a mature relationship, but also making clear that Seoul will reinforce its alliance with Washington. So this dual-track approach, it seems to be part of President Lee's so-called pragmatic diplomacy. So he's here acknowledging that South Korea cannot make this exclusive choice between Washington and Beijing because it needs to maintain workable relations with both countries.
Well, a big week for President Yi's, like you said, pragmatic diplomacy. We'll see how he deals with the remaining challenges. Soo-young, thanks for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having me, Tammy.